Parasocial interaction is the starting point of one-sided engagement. It happens when a viewer feels like a media figure is directly addressing them, even when the content is pre-recorded or broadcast to millions. This illusion is especially powerful when the figure uses conversational tones, eye contact, pauses, or rhetorical questions. Talk show hosts like Oprah Winfrey perfected this, creating the sense of personal dialogue in front of large audiences. Politicians such as Barack Obama used similar techniques during campaigns, speaking in a calm, inclusive manner that made each listener feel personally acknowledged. On digital platforms, creators amplify this effect. YouTubers begin videos with phrases like, "Hey guys, I want to talk about something personal today," triggering the illusion of direct conversation. Charlie Kirk frequently used this style in his podcasts and live streams, often addressing viewers as if in one-on-one dialogue, asking rhetorical questions, reading viewer comments, and responding in real time. As this interaction repeats, it evolves into a parasocial relationship, a long-term emotional attachment that feels mutual, even though it is entirely one-sided. Audiences begin to follow a public figure's life, changes, and emotional highs and lows as though they were close friends. These bonds persist over time and across platforms. Taylor Swift's fans track her personal evolution across albums, treating her songs as part of a shared story. Barack Obama's supporters often describe his presidency as a moral anchor in their lives. In political media, Charlie Kirk's listeners built durable ties through his frequent broadcasts. Many followers quoted him daily, referenced his interpretations of current events, and viewed him as a trustworthy voice of reason or truth. These were not passing interests, but emotionally sustained relationships shaped by familiarity, frequency, and repetition. This deep attachment is powered by mediated intimacy, the controlled sharing of personal details that creates a sense of closeness. Celebrities and influencers curate fragments of their lives to appear authentic and relatable. Taylor Swift shares stories of heartbreak, betrayal, and redemption, letting fans feel emotionally close without giving up full privacy. Influencers often show themselves in bedrooms or kitchens, narrating mental health struggles or daily routines, simulating vulnerability. Barack Obama's memoirs and public speeches included reflections on marriage, parenting, and self-doubt, which softened the distance between politician and public. Charlie Kirk drew on his own story, his decision to skip college, his Christian faith, and his desire to stand up for the forgotten, to create a similar effect. Audiences interpreted these disclosures as real, even though they were carefully crafted and selective. Authenticity is crucial to sustaining parasocial bonds. It does not necessarily mean factual accuracy, but rather emotional consistency and perceived sincerity. Audiences reward figures who appear genuine, raw, unfiltered, and unpolished, even when their presentation is calculated. Donald Trump's unscripted and combative tone was seen by many as authentic, despite his history of falsehoods. Billie Eilish's moody, anti-glamour aesthetic signaled realness to fans tired of polished pop personas. On social media, creators often manufacture authenticity by showing clutter, stuttering, or vulnerability. Charlie Kirk used informal videos, reactive posts, and direct speech to create the impression of spontaneity. His followers believed they were hearing his true thoughts, not a rehearsed script. The result was a strong emotional resonance that drew people in, even if they disagreed with his views. Identification plays a central role in parasociality. People are more likely to bond with media figures when they see themselves reflected through shared values, life experiences, or aspirations. Swift's early fans identified with her feelings of exclusion and heartbreak. Obama's supporters often saw their own struggles with race, class, or belonging echoed in his story. Charlie Kirk appealed to conservative youth who felt alienated by mainstream institutions. His anti-elitist messaging, youthful rise, and emphasis on faith and individual responsibility created identification among young audiences looking for political direction. Identification also operates aspirationally. Audiences may not be like the figure, but they may want to be. This desire for alignment, real or imagined, strengthens the emotional connection. Trust accumulates as parasocial relationships mature. Over time, the media figure becomes a source of not just entertainment, but truth and interpretation. Audiences begin to rely on them for explanations of complex issues, personal guidance, or moral clarity. Joe Rogan's audience treats him as a gateway to knowledge, trusting his framing, his questions, and the guests he invites. Swift's fans trust her motives when she reclaims her masters or calls out music industry injustices. Politically, Donald Trump's supporters often took his word over established media or institutions. Charlie Kirk built trust by consistently reinforcing a shared worldview and offering interpretations that resonated emotionally. For many, he was more than a commentator. He was a trusted interpreter of reality. This bond requires continuous emotional labor. Parasocial figures must constantly project accessibility, manage their emotional tone, and respond to audience expectations. Influencers craft a mood, cheerful, vulnerable, defiant, that they must maintain even during burnout. Politicians rehearse expressions of empathy and concern. Taylor Swift balances her digital presence between playfulness, introspection, and control, keeping fans emotionally engaged without overexposure. Kirk's daily media presence required ongoing emotional calibration, expressing urgency when discussing political threats, calm confidence during moral appeals, and righteous anger during controversy. This emotional work is largely invisible, but central to maintaining the connection. If the tone slips or feels off, the audience notices, and the bond can weaken. Despite these connections, parasociality remains asymmetrical. The audience knows the figure intimately, favorite foods, family stories, emotional arcs, while the figure knows nothing about any individual follower. Yet the relationship feels mutual. Obama's speeches often made people feel personally recognized. Swift's cryptic clues and fan replies give the impression of individualized attention. On live streams, influencers read a handful of comments, and many viewers interpret this as personal connection. Charlie Kirk would reference the grassroots, young patriots, or all of you watching, broad terms that felt specific. This asymmetry enables scalability. A single figure can form millions of emotional connections while maintaining full control, but it also creates the risk of unmet expectations or disillusionment when fans expect personal reciprocity. Social media platforms amplify parasociality by design. Algorithms prioritize emotionally charged content, sadness, outrage, inspiration, because it drives engagement. Features like comments, likes, and live stream chats simulate two-way interaction. Instagram stories feel like daily check-ins. TikTok duets and stitches invite co-creation. YouTube Q&As blur the line between audience and creator. Taylor Swift uses platforms to tease songs, reply to fan comments, and make surprise announcements. Trump's tweets acted like daily messages to his followers, personal, provocative, and fast. Kirk's strategy spanned Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and podcast platforms, maximizing presence and emotional proximity. The architecture of these platforms doesn't just allow parasociality, it optimizes and monetizes it. When a parasocial figure dies, the grief can feel immediate and profound. This is parasocial mourning, emotional responses to the loss of someone the mourner never met. Michael Jackson's death in 2009 saw spontaneous global vigils. Princess Diana's passing triggered mass public sorrow. Kobe Bryant's sudden death devastated fans worldwide. More recently, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated in 2025, his followers held vigils, posted tributes, and expressed grief as though they had lost a friend. Many described his influence on their lives in deeply emotional terms. Parasocial mourning is not fake or shallow, it reflects real emotional investment. The grief is shaped by years of imagined intimacy and identification. In a world where public figures occupy intimate space in our daily routines, their deaths rupture not just fandoms, but personal narratives. Together, these 10 concepts explain how parasociality operates as a psychological, cultural, and technological phenomenon. It is not just about celebrity obsession or fan behavior, it shapes how people consume information, form identities, build communities, and experience loss. In the age of platforms, parasocial bonds are not the exception. They are the rule. They influence elections, drive sales, fuel movements, and structure collective memory. Whether through a pop star, a podcaster, or a political figure, parasociality reveals how deeply mediated connection now shapes the emotional architecture of everyday life. Stay tuned for more insights into business and the social sciences. If you found this overview helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on future topics you'd like us to cover. I'm Dr. Dog, wishing you a fantastic day ahead.